everybody, welcome back to my channel where I talk about pretty much whatever's on my mind, and I kind of hope that you're doing the same thing on your channels. The thing I wanted to talk about today is that last night I got to talk with some friends about shoes and about climate challenges and about communication possibilities. And we also talked about some of the observations that we've made within our own families and groups about some of the things that have been challenging to all of us. One of the things that was brought up touched a nerve with many people in our group. And so we had to learn to communicate in different ways. Now, recently I talked about a circumstance where I was talking with somebody who might have been using, let's call them slanderous words or demeaning words, and not in a subtle, sarcastic way. It seemed like they were using the words in a more sinister way. Like, let's say we had a word for people like myself who run real slow called, I don't know, slowpokes. And if slowpokes was an offensive word and someone was saying, like, not using effing but the actual F word, effing slowpokes, they're always running on the trails, so slow, they get in my way. Well, there's an energy that can come across when someone uses that word in that way. Now, just because I'm a part of that conversation doesn't mean that I feel the same way about any runner, whether they're fast or slow. The only thing that I can evaluate is, how do I feel if I had put myself in that runner's shoes, knowing that someone was calling me a slowpoke runner. So as an observer, it's one thing to hear these words, topics of conversation, and as someone who receives sometimes those demeaning words for all kinds of reasons, I can tell you that in both cases, the words are just words. That doesn't make it okay for the other person to keep yelling out slowpoke runners, because there's an anger coming from that person. And so, as a member of a group conversation, I feel like it's my obligation to present these truths in a real simple way. Someone might say, like, in the format of what would sometimes have been considered a parable. Well, because I've already covered the parable part, now I want to cover the part that's a little bit more fun. We got the heavy stuff out of the way, with the exception of myself. I'm still in your way. That's why you're watching this video. Now, we're gonna talk about shoes. So right now, I'm wearing my On Cloudmonsters. They're kind of a violet color. It's called Acai Violet, I think. Might be called Acai and Purple. However you say that first word, I'm not sure. What I know is these are my Saturday running shoes. I've got now several pairs of shoes. I've got one color for each day of the week, and I rotate my shoes like that. But the way that I got to this point was after recognizing sometimes how hard it can be to find something that works and to run with it. So this slowpoke runner is running despite not having run, I don't know, for about 10 days. And I'm not going that far. You saw, I showed at the beginning of this clip, I had a recovery run listed on my watch. And you can hear I'm breathing at a little bit of an increased rate, and I'm able to maintain the semblance of a conversation. And I've gone exactly a half a mile right now, and normally on my average pace of just slowpoke running it, I'll go about a mile every 13 or 14 minutes. So it looks like I'm right on track for that as I glance down at the statistics. But I could have not gotten here as easily had I not picked up some appropriate footwear. In some cases, we need appropriate footwear because we might need to compensate for some of the adverse effects that might have occurred within our own bodies because of our own doings. So what I mean by that is about 40 years ago, when I was maybe 7 or 8, pardon me, you might have seen me running around for my size, at fast speed, but at a pace that might not have been too different from this at my current height. And I would do that in whatever footwear I had. Many of you can relate. You never needed any special attire to enjoy a healing activity. And some of you might only present yourselves in specific attire to engage in an activity with one another. That's the ego. Sometimes when the ego is challenged, the oddest things will happen. But when you run forth unchallenged, like a child, especially in this limitless universe, let's call it, we can oftentimes find opportunities presented to us left and right without hardly even trying, as long as you continue to put forth the effort to pursue joy. So I'm coming upon 3/4 of a mile here in my first 10 minutes. It It'll be about 10 and a half minutes when I get there. But the whole point is, in the beginning when I started this journey a couple of years back, really more like a year and a couple of months, I was unable to run a quarter mile. Now, if I want to, at a reasonable pace, I know that I'm physically capable of doing these things, and I'm aided by the footwear that I selected during my discovery process. And because I went through several variations of different things, I didn't find the shoe that fit until I did a little bit of research in the shoe that other people, especially here on YouTube, had presented to us, in most cases, free of charge. So I learned a lot on this channel from a lot of people, much like myself, and much like yourself, who were having an interest in learning. And that, to me, that is why I know you will succeed. All of you, you, definitely you, for sure you, over there, you're all gonna succeed because you've got the childlike curiosity that it takes to at least imagine a different circumstance. The same as we can overcome physical, let's call it challenges, limitations, as long as we put in the footwork, whether or not we spend those hard-earned dollars on those hard-produced products, in some cases, the same way that we set our mind to something. Sometimes, if we can imagine a wealthier standpoint, sometimes we don't have to worry about the monetary aspect. That's not to say that the environmental cost isn't significant, because it is. Every bit of technology that we have right now, every bit of resources that we have right now that have brought us together to talk together with one another is, for me, an opportunity to speak with, not speak down to, not speak at, but to speak with you. And I know you're watching. I've known for a while. That's why sometimes it's kind of challenging to answer the phone. Maybe my phone's not even on, because this is my time that I happen to be sharing with you. Multitask. We've already gone over a mile, by the way. Quite a bit. Well, 0.05 miles over a mile. So 1.06 now, 14 minutes, 50 seconds. And we're coming up on the end of my scheduled run. Where the most important thing I wanted to tell you was thank you so much for everything, for the rich, rewarding conversations, and for the opportunity to communicate with one another. It's meant so much to me. The additional subscribers, can't say enough for you. Thank you so much. The clicks, the comments, it's all encouragement. And I try to go out there and do the same thing wherever I see comments, even if it's using certain kinds of language, or even if the conversation seems to start to dissolve, maybe because there's a miscommunication in the equation. And so what I try to do is to calmly assess the circumstances. And hey, if for some reason we can't continue that conversation to completion, it's not a big deal. No pressure. The last thing I want to come across as is hostile, bigoted, and that's probably the ego talking. But the fact is, I am not going to come and be bigoted in my approach, be ignorant in my approach to talking things through fully. But not just talking things through, putting things into action. So the first step, where's the joy? If you don't have any joy, you won't be able to clap your hands and show it. So hopefully you're clapping your hands and showing it, encouraging one another, and having a great day. For me, the shoes that I'm in currently are the On Cloudmonster. And for me, at my heavier weight, these made a world of difference on my journey to getting to this point so far, where I have my lower extremities are as primed as you can go to go as far as I need to. My upper body is next, has been in progress right now. I can hardly wait to show you the progress that I've made. I can give you a sampler and tell you, I lost over 20 pounds during my 19 nights in Big Bend National Park. And that was with barely any walking, but a lot of strength training. So we'll see how it pans out. But in the meantime, I hope all of us slow runners are doing excellent, feeling great. And I hope anyone who's got some maybe antiquated ideas that were taught to us by our fathers, I hope the rest of us are able to let go of some of those old notions and to move forward, fully able to have conversations with one another without needing a moderator in between, without needing to pay someone who doesn't necessarily fit into that conversation anyway, except for that they're capitalizing off of it. Spend those hard-earned dollars on you, on your well-being. If you're paying some third resource, like a legal entity, for an example, your hard-earned dollars, that's a slow way to make progress, I think. But that's my opinion. So let me know what you think in the comments area below. Until next time, peace, love, and all that old school stuff.